Okay. No reason for that to have been deactivated. Run it back, Nation. What is good? My mic in OBS was deactivated for no reason whatsoever. It is back, and now you can hear me. Thanks for letting me know in the chat. If I wouldn't have checked the chat, bro, I would have talked for like 20 minutes without knowing that nobody was hearing what I'm talking about, and there was no intro music. All right, so we're off to a good start. Anyway, shout out to everybody. Yeah, a couple things that happened in the NBA playoffs last night that I want to talk about. An epic choke job by the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, we already knew the Milwaukee Bucks were going to lose this series. I knew the Milwaukee Bucks were going to lose this series before it started, even before Damian Lillard's blood clot issue, and then, of course, he torn Achilles. But we knew the Bucks were going to lose this series. Anybody who really knows ball, like I know ball, knew the Bucks were going to lose this series. But they could have gotten at least one, and last night they should have had one. And they pulled off a choke job that statistically has never happened before in the history of the NBA playoffs. Only Doc Rivers can add to the history books in such a fashion. What else happened? The Knicks versus Pistons. The Pistons pull off another one against the New York Knicks in New York, forcing it back to Detroit for Game 6. I think the Knicks are in big trouble. Celtics Magic, nobody cares about that. They went on like a 32-8 run when Paolo went out in the third quarter, and the Celtics sweep the Magic. Or did they give them one? Was it 4-1? Either way, it doesn't matter. Celtics move on. Clippers, Nuggets. Wow. I'm not here to gloat. I'm not here to say I was right. And it could turn around in Game 6 or if it goes to a Game 7. But James Harden in Game 5 stunk up the joint. Kawhi Leonard wasn't great either. Jamal Murray was out of his mind. I swear, bro, I have a crystal ball. I have a crystal basketball. And the Clippers, the Nuggets pull off another one and are now up 3-2 on the Clippers, who many picked to not only win that series, but run away with this series. 4-1 people picked. Sweep people picked. And the Nuggets, just miraculous victory after miraculous victory, are up 3-2. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button for me one time. These episodes of Run It Back Philly are brought to you by Game Time Ticket app. You want to go to NBA playoff games? Our price is too high. You need to start using Game Time Ticket app. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater right now using Game Time Ticket app. Game Time has a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting picks to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can see right here on my screen, good seats in Detroit for Game 6 against the New York Knicks for $300. Dude, if you can go to an NBA playoff game for $300, that's a steal. And the Detroit crowd was amazing in the last one. I'm really excited to watch Game 6. That's a great deal for a playoff ticket. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's get down to business, man. Who's in the chat? Richie MC, what's going on? Vlad, what's up, man? Shout out to the members, Vlad and RJ in the building. Gary Trent with the clutch butterfingers. Unbelievable that Gary Trent Jr. was the reason they got that far. Was the reason they were winning the game in overtime. What do you have, 4 threes in overtime? And then it all comes full circle. And he ends up being the reason they lost. Unbelievable. Shizzo Flex, thank you for the super chat. If Boston doesn't win the title this year and Giannis requests out, they're going to trade Brown and White and picks to the Bucks for them. Bucks can't tank no picks. Yeah, the Bucks are going to trade Giannis for picks. I agree with that. It's not going to be the Boston Celtics. You wouldn't trade Giannis to a Eastern Conference rival. I mean, Eastern Conference okay, but the Celtics, you wouldn't trade Giannis to the Celtics. I don't think he would do that. And I think there's other teams who can offer way more as far as picks plus young talent. And there's some scary thoughts about Giannis being on some of these teams. Houston, OKC, if they don't get it done this year. That's definitely something I'm going to talk about probably towards the end of this video, because Sixers fans have already started to talk about Giannis to the Sixers, and let's use our brains here, okay? Let's use our brains here. Giannis isn't going to Philly. That's for damn sure. Anyway, the Milwaukee Bucks, man, they lose 119 to 118 in overtime to fall in the first round 4-1. And yeah, of course it wasn't Doc Rivers' fault that Gary Trent Jr. dropped that ball out of bounds. But just an unbelievable way to lose a game. And I don't know, man. Maybe I'm going higher power. Maybe I'm going something outside of what we know as reality. There's something about Doc Rivers. There's something about the energy of Doc Rivers, man, that his teams will just find a way to lose in the most incredible, creative fashion. What was it? Look at this. Look at this screenshot right here. Before last night, teams were 0 and 1,176 in the playoffs over the last 20 years, while trailing by 7 or more points with 40 seconds or less to go in a game. Nobody in the last 20 years lost a playoff game being up by 7 points with 40 seconds to go. 0 teams until last night. It's just incredible the way that his teams find ways to lose. If you said to me, hey, you're up by 7 points with 40 seconds left, find a way to lose this game, I don't feel like you could do it even if you tried. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, Gary Trent Jr., man, he had 4 3-pointers in overtime. He had 33 points. First of all, Gary Trent Jr. going bananas in the last couple of games is the only reason Milwaukee was in this series. It's the only reason the series wasn't over in 4 games. He had 37 points a couple of nights ago in their only win of the series. He had 33 points last night. So not to overuse a phrase, but I didn't have Gary Trent Jr. being a superstar on my bingo card, you know, but it's just wild because he does it again. He has another big game, 33 points, 12 for 15 from the field, 8 made 3-pointers. Yeah, he chucked 17 of them. But it all came full circle because the Bucks start to collapse. The Pacers start to make a run with a minute and 30 seconds left. Their interior defense was absolutely horrendous the entire fourth quarter and overtime, right? In the late fourth quarter, how many drives did Halliburton have straight to the rim with no help? 1 to tie it and send it to overtime. 1 to bring them within 2 or within 1 in overtime. And the game winner. 3 basically uncontested drives by Tyrese Halliburton in fourth quarter to send it to overtime, and back-to-back buckets in overtime to win the game. So the Bucks you can just feel it just start to go haywire, right? And start to collapse. You see Doc Rivers on the sideline with that kind of just emotionless face like, holy shit, is this really happening? Down 3, Halliburton straight to the bucket, lay in. 1-point game. The Bucks inbound the ball. Sketchy inbound. A pass by Kevin Porter Jr. that I feel like went into a triple team right at half court to AJ. I forget his last name. AJ Green. And he skips it ahead to Gary Trent Jr., who just drops the ball out of bounds. You still didn't lose at that point, right? Maybe you get a stop and you still win the game. But how does the same thing that happened at the end of the fourth quarter to send it to overtime, the same thing that happened 2 possessions ago to make it a 1-point game, happen again with 0 adjustments? Ladies and gentlemen, Doc Rivers led basketball team. No practice, no film study, no game plan, nothing. It was the same thing again. Tyrese Halliburton straight to the rim. Giannis Antetokounmpo there. Nobody else there. No help defense. I'm not saying you're going to double team Tyrese Halliburton. He's not Kawhi Leonard. But just incredible that the Bucks found a way to lose that, and incredible that the last 2 buckets were legitimately just Tyrese Halliburton running straight to the rim and laying it in uncontested. And Giannis, you got to block that. You got to come up with a way to stop that. You know what I mean? I know there's no help defense there. I know your roster wasn't great defensively. I mean, it should be. You know, the Bucks used to be a team that you would fear interior defense-wise with their size and everything, but it was just Tyrese versus Giannis, and I feel like Giannis a couple of years ago gets that block maybe to save the game. Didn't happen last night. The Pacers win, and the Bucks go home in just historic fashion. Unbelievable. Shout out to TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell's been huge in this playoff series, and I, as a 76ers fan, talked my trash about TJ McConnell over the years. It's just, it's just a story as old as time. I evaluate players on the Philadelphia 76ers. I think they suck. They leave. They don't actually suck. It's just the Philadelphia 76ers who suck. TJ McConnell, 18 points off the bench, 63% from the field. This is a guy that can't shoot threes, by the way. He can't shoot. How does a guy who can't shoot threes give you a 18-piece off the bench? 70% true shooting percentage. So I think the story really is that the Milwaukee Bucks are terrible, and it comes down to defense and discipline and strategy, which a Doc Rivers-led team has no strategy, has no discipline. And that's the story of it. An unbelievable loss by the Milwaukee Bucks. The Pacers move on and play the Cavs. Is it going to be the Cavs? Hold up. I forgot to get an active NBA playoff bracket. NBA playoff bracket. Is it going to be the Cavs? Here we go. Let's see. We got Cavs, Pacers. Yes. Cavs, Pacers. It will be whoever wins the Knicks Pistons series against the Boston Celtics for the semifinals. Pacers are going to have a tough time with the Cavs. I wish we could have ended up Pacers-Knicks, because I think the Pacers can beat the Knicks. Cavs, Pacers, Celtics, whoever wins Knicks, Pistons. Pistons still alive. Are we going to talk about Knicks, Pistons later? Next. What's up, guys? What you talking about in the chat? Where are your takes at? Somebody still said there's no audio? It's hilarious now they fired Adrian Griffin just to get eliminated in the first round. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Terrible job by ownership. Terrible job by the GM, who also just signed an extension, which is absolutely insane. Give me 1 second. It was cold in here because of my air conditioner. Then I turned it down, and now it's hot in here. Yeah. What was I talking about? Come on, man. Crank up. Did I turn it off? Shit, I think I turned it off. I turned it off, man. Dumbass. Tried to turn it higher, and I turned it off. Okay. Yeah, unbelievable collapse by the Milwaukee Bucks as a franchise. And now, what did they say, man? There's a 100 WWE. I don't know why I was looking at that. I thought I had the Giannis thing up here. What did they say? Giannis is scheduled to meet with the Bucks to discuss his future. Here you go. The Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo are scheduled to meet after the season to discuss both his future and the future plans of the team. Incredible. Pacers move on. Now, Knicks Pistons. The Pistons pull out another gutsy win, man. Another one of those games, physical. Just who wants it more is going to get it done, man. The Knicks had plenty of chances to close it out. Detroit continued to fight and continued to fight and continued to fight. Cade Cunningham, once again, absolutely miraculous. He only shot 35% from the field. But when it mattered the most, final couple of possessions in a close playoff game, this dude rises to the occasion again. He's playing like an NBA veteran point guard. He's playing like a playoff veteran point guard in his first ever playoff series at 23 years old. You know, the final couple of possessions, Cade Cunningham, ball in his hands. He hits a big three on the wing. And then, you know, he comes down, has a pick and roll, and just kind of reads the defense and drops it down to Jalen Duren under the rim. He just makes the right play all the time. And he is carrying the Detroit Pistons, and they refuse to die. Tobias Harris, 17 points, 8 rebounds, a +7. And Tobias Harris got elbowed in the eye by Jalen Duren in the third quarter. Comes back in the game with one eye and knocks down a mid-range jump shot, knocks down a corner three. Tobias Harris is better at shooting with one eye than with two. But, yeah, man, I said, you know, you can't win if Tobias Harris is your second option. They proved me wrong yesterday. Another thing, Tom Thibodeau had Jalen Brunson out of the game until 27 seconds left in the game. And anybody that was watching it, they had one timeout left. I guess he was saving the timeout. But the Knicks, without Jalen Brunson on the floor, have nothing. They just don't have an identity. They don't know what they're doing. It's total randomness. Do they have technically like a backup point guard? Really? Is it Cameron Payne? Yeah, Cameron Payne's not really like a facilitating point guard that's going to organize the offense and like you know, run some kind of half court system. He's just a guy that comes in and gives you a spark off the bench. If I'm missing somebody, let me know. I just don't feel like the New York Knicks have a backup point guard. OG Anunoby gave you 19 and a -7. OG had that huge shot on the left wing in Cade Cunningham's grill. Cade had played perfect defense on him. They were up by, what was it? It was a 6-point game, and he hit that to make it a 3-point game. Towns had 17 and 11. He was a -12. He was only 5 for 14 from the field. Jalen Brunson, they held him to 16 points on 4 for 16 from the field, 25%. So you got to credit the Detroit Pistons defensive effort. And you got to credit Bickerstaff, man, because this team refuses to go out. And not only do they refuse to go out, they keep coming back with another strategy. They keep coming back. It's the opposite of a Doc Rivers-led team. You know, they keep going in the film room and saying, okay, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to give ourselves a chance? Yeah, it's 3-1. It's been done before. We've had plenty of chances for this to be 2-2 or for us to be the team that's up 3-1. So they feel, you know, all the confidence in the world they feel. You know, they feel like they should be up 3-1. They felt like they're not, you know, the underdog here. The ball didn't bounce their way a couple times. And really, when you think about it, what happened to the Detroit Pistons in the last 2 games before last night could very well happen to the New York Knicks in the next 2 games. So I do think the New York Knicks are in trouble. Jalen Brunson twisted his ankle a little bit. Yeah, Billups, my bad. Bickerstaff is... why did I say Bickerstaff? Bickerstaff is the Pacers coach, or... Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. What am I saying? Magic? Bickerstaff is the Magic's head coach? You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Yeah, so Detroit, you know, pulls out another one, and we'll see what happens in game 6. Josh Hart hurt his wrist. Jalen Brunson turned his ankle on a floorboard. They're still alive somehow, man. And my playoff bracket is still alive somehow. I got the Clippers over the Nuggets, and the Clippers lose again. I got the Pistons over the Knicks. Those are the biggest upsets, aside from the Rockets over the Warriors. The Rockets over the Warriors looks like it's over, but it's not over yet. So, you know, who knows, man? Who knows? Watching 25 genuinely do nothing for LA is insane. He will get the ball and sprint 1,000 miles per hour like he used to. Grind to a halt, hand off the ball, and vanish from the play. It's unbelievable, actually, that Ben Simmons... Bickerstaff is the Pistons coach. Yeah, what are you guys doing to me, man? Why? I was right? Yeah, I was right, man. Come on, bro. But I believed you that I was wrong. I fell hook, line, and sinker for that. Yeah, it's unbelievable that Ben Simmons has been playing the game the same way year after year after year, and he signs this minimum contract with the Clippers. And, you know, they did the same thing when he went to Brooklyn, when we traded him to Brooklyn. They did the same thing. Now he's gonna change his game. He just needed to change his scenery. He just needed a new environment. Blame this, blame that, blame this, blame that. And he's doing the same exact thing in LA. Not much of anything. I saw a play where, shout out to the Discord, and I saw this before you posted it in the Discord, but shout out to my guy, what's your name, bro? What's your name in the Discord? Hold on, I want to say your name, man. Daniel Wren in the Discord posted the play, but I saw it because I was rewatching the game on NBA League Pass earlier this morning. Ben Simmons, a post-up, turnaround, right-handed hook shot that he used to do all the time in Philly when we were always like, is this guy right-handed? Is he left-handed? What is going on? Turnaround, right-handed hook shot last night. Airball. The guy actually continues to get worse, and I don't see really Ben Simmons playing in the NBA next season. I'm being dead serious. I know he's 6'11", 240 and can run, but he has absolutely no skills. He hasn't improved on anything at all over the course of how many years. He's not bringing any value to the Clippers. Yeah. What else? I talked about the Pistons winning another one. Clippers Nuggets. Let's talk about the Clippers Nuggets. The Clippers were up 2-1. You know, everybody counted out the Denver Nuggets. Even Denver Nuggets fans continuously tell me, "Hey man, I don't know why you picked Denver. We don't have enough. Our roster is trash. We're done for. We're not going to win this." Y'all, listen, and I understand that Denver Nuggets fans watch Denver Nuggets games much more intently than I do. And so you're making the same mistake that sometimes I make with my own teams. You're too close to the forest to see the trees. You know what I mean? Or you see a team that has, you know, Jamal Murray injuries and some players go out, and you see a team that has issues, and so you just think they're completely done. They're nothing. But Jamal Murray comes back and plays like he played before in the playoffs a couple years ago, because then, you know, the torn ACL and did he tear his other ACL? I don't remember. He had a bunch of injuries. But the 2020 playoffs, Jamal Murray had back-to-back 51-point games to help the Denver Nuggets get to the NBA Finals and win that championship in 2020. People wrote it off because it was the bubble or whatever. But I just can't write off a guy who's done something like that and then had major injury after major injury. And then came back this year and you know, a lot of times throughout the season didn't look like that level of Jamal Murray. Last night, Jamal Murray was nothing short of a superstar. And that's what Nikola Jokic needs. Nikola Jokic did not have a good game scoring-wise last night. He was 30% from the field, 4 for 13, 1 for 4 from 3. 13, 10, and 12 for Nikola Jokic. He was a plus 18. But yeah, Denver's not going to get it done if Nikola Jokic doesn't have a running mate. Because he's not a score-first kind of player, even though last game he picked up the scoring side and gave you 30-some. Jamal Murray was a superstar last night. From start to finish, tough shot after tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. The LA Clippers had no answer for it. 43 points, 7 assists, 65% from the field, 8 for 14 from 3, 17 for 26. Jamal Murray was that 2020 Jamal Murray last night. And that team, by the way, in 2020, wasn't expected to go as far as they went. If you get this level Jamal Murray for the rest of these playoffs, this team can shock a lot of people. And I know they don't have the defensive roster they used to have. You know, Contavious Caldwell-Pope is gone. Some other players are gone. Their backup center is DeAndre Jordan. He's terrible. And you should probably just run Aaron Gordon at backup center in small ball lineups. But when you got Zubac out there, they're trying to match the size. So then it's not a perfect team. But with Jamal Murray playing like that, the Denver Nuggets can shock a lot of people. And they're shocking a lot of people right now because on paper, healthy Kawhi Leonard and that Clippers team with the depth that they have and how Harden was playing all season and most of these playoffs and how Norman Powell was playing all season, people had the Clippers sweeping them. People had the Clippers 4-1. The Nuggets are up 3-2. And a major reason for that is the playoff rising ability of Jamal Murray and the playoff shrinking ability of James Harden. Ladies and gentlemen, playoff James Harden is here in full effect. Last night in a pivotal game 5 to put the Clippers up potentially 3-2 to take a lead in the series. To go back to LA, James Harden puts up 11, 8, and 5 on minus 16. Not a single 3-point field goal made. 4 turnovers, 9 whole shot attempts. James Harden was terrible. And you know what the Denver Nuggets did? Which is shocking because it's hard to stop Kawhi Leonard. And you would think we can't double team Harden because Kawhi's going to cook us. And so a lot of this is on the shoulders of Kawhi Leonard too, because he had like a 40-plus point game, I think game 2 of this series, that looked like, oh shit, Kawhi Leonard's healthy. The Clippers aren't going to be stopped by anybody. So it's not just on James Harden's shoulders, but the Denver Nuggets had a clear strategy. Take the ball out of James Harden's hands, be physical with him, frustrate him, and it worked to perfection. James Harden turned back into 2015 James Harden, trying to foul bait, yelling at officials, leaning and hooking the arm, throwing his arms up. Instead of getting back on defense, standing there holding his arms up, yelling at the officials. I mean, he completely shrunk. They got under his skin with the physicality, and he started doing what he always does, which is instead of changing the way that you play and fighting through the adversity, he started blaming other people, blaming the officials, and completely disappeared. And this is the mentality that he has that I've seen time and time and time again. He will not fight through that adversity. He will start to point the finger. I want it to be wrong. James Harden's great when he's in the right mindset and he's playing great. He's one of the best point guards I've ever seen. I say it all the time. But this is just a classic James Harden disappearing act. And the Clippers go down 3-2. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, 20 points, 8 for 15, 11 assists for Kawhi. Which tells you that the Clippers or the Nuggets were also flying at Kawhi Leonard. Make somebody else beat you. I would say that Norman Powell, in a game like this, where the Nuggets have a strategy of flashing around screens and attacking James Harden and double teaming Kawhi Leonard probably every time he touches the ball, Norman Powell had an all-star season. This is supposed to be the guy that gives you 25 when the defense is honed in on Harden and Kawhi, and Norman Powell didn't do that either. I'm not saying the Nuggets go on to win this series. I'm not saying things can't be completely different next game. I think the Clippers have a great coach who is actually good at adjusting and making changes. And they're going to look at the film and they're going to, make an adjustment to try to come back and make it 3-3. I think James Harden needs to change the way that he plays the game a little bit if they want that to happen. And I think Denver just needs to continue with exactly what they were doing. And the Nuggets can take this series. We'll see what happens. But, man, I don't want to be right. But James Harden in the playoffs when it matters the most, man, this is just what he does. And those James Harden stands that have come at me all season, look what James Harden's doing. There's someone specifically on my Twitter page who is in my DMs every day sending me James Harden love letters. It's unbelievable. Sends me, look at this James Harden play. James Harden 25, 10, and 10. James Harden this, James Harden that. The dude one time sent me a clip of the Clippers owner wearing James Harden's shoes, bro. What are you sending me, dude? You think I give a fuck that Steve Ballmer is wearing James Harden's Adidas shoes, man? What the level of standness, the level of stand some of the people have for James Harden is borderline sus. Where are you guys at, man? 11 points last night in a pivotal loss. CJ, what's up, man? Thanks for the love, man. Philly sucks, bro. We already know that. He got that podcast piece stat line. Harden has been a 0 for 2 games. We'll see if he changes the way that we feel in Game 6. Jamal Murray is going Super Saiyan, man. Bro, superstar. And my boy Swipe McCam likes to say all the time that Jokic has never played with an all-star, and Jokic has never played with an all-star level player. And I'm like, come on. 2020 playoff Jamal Murray was a superstar. He wasn't voted an all-star during the regular season, but you can't tell me that wasn't an all-star player. And this is also an all-star player. And his level of confidence, man, it's like it comes out of nowhere, and he just starts cooking. He just starts making some of the most ridiculous shots and talking trash, and just it's so much fun to watch. I am, dude. I hope for Jamal Murray's sake, because again, back-to-back 51-point games in the Western Conference Finals in 2020, and then he suffers those huge season-ending injuries. You got to be happy for a guy like Jamal Murray, because he could have been a multi-time All-Star in the NBA if it weren't for those injuries. So it's really nice to see him fight back, and a lot of times on ACL and stuff, it takes you a couple of years to get back into the groove and feel like yourself. And 3 or 4 years after his last ACL injury, he's doing this in the playoffs. So happy for Jamal Murray. And I would love to see him do this again in a couple of days to put the Clippers away. I would love to see it. It would be hilarious if the Knicks lose in a Game 7 at the Garden. It would be unbelievable. Warriors-Celtics rematch. I don't know. So the Western Conference is wild, man, because, People had picked the Clippers. I picked the Nuggets. Nobody thinks the Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals yet, unless Jamal Murray continues to play like this and they continue to play defense the way they played it last night. Of course, people have OKC, but the Memphis Grizzlies don't really count, so OKC hasn't really played a playoff game yet. Houston was the number 2 seed in the West, and they look like they're about to lose to the Warriors. So the West is really up in the air. There's no real. I don't think OKC is as much of a juggernaut as people seem to think they are. I think if you get a team that can play some defense and slow down SGA, the Oklahoma City Thunder struggle to score. And they're a great defensive team, but I think they can lose a playoff series on some straight up 1980s defense ball where the score's like 97-95 type shit. And yeah, that Houston is choking like dogs, and there's no way for Houston to really turn it around unless Jalen Green decides to come out of it again. Jalen Green has, in his last 7 games, he has scored more than 7 points. He has scored more than 9 points one time in his last 7 games, and that was a 38-point performance. And really, Houston lacks that number 1 superstar type of player. It's definitely not Jalen Green, not yet, at least at 23 years old. I don't know if he has the mentality to ever be that guy. Jalen Green might end up being a 3rd, 4th option on a good team. Or Jalen Green maybe is Jordan Poole 2.0. That's a good comparison, I think. I think Jalen Green is Jordan Poole. Maybe Jalen Green ends up in Washington for 10 years. But anyway, yeah, for the Houston Rockets to come out of it, what else do they have offensively? You're not going to get a 40-piece from Van Vliet. Şengün's not really the kind of guy that's going to lead you offensively. Maybe he does. They really need Jalen Green to give him a couple of 35-point games. And he gave him 38 a couple of games ago. But I don't see that happening consistently enough for Houston to come back. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about on this show? Yes. So the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo are scheduled to meet after the season to discuss both his future and the future plans for the team. So everybody kind of knows with Giannis Antetokounmpo. How old is Giannis Antetokounmpo? 30 years old. In his prime right now, probably for at least the next 3 to 4 years. Assuming that NBA players start to decline at 34, which they mostly do. It's just that Daryl Morey doesn't know that. But anyway, 30-year-old Giannis, it's obviously in his best interest to move on. The Bucks have nothing. They have no future. They have no real way to rebuild around Giannis to try to get him and themselves back into the NBA Finals. Obviously, he's an intense competitor who wants to win at the highest level while he still can. If he's looking at it like I might have 5 years of the best basketball of my life left, I want to be back in the NBA Finals within those 5 years. I'm not going out like this. It's in Giannis' best interest to leave Milwaukee, which is why, and everybody knows it, this is not even a question, which is why they're scheduled to meet to discuss both his future and the future plans for the team. It's going to be, the Milwaukee Bucks know that Giannis is probably going to move on, and they know that it's in their best interest. It's not going to be one of those situations where a player requests a trade and they refuse to trade him like Portland and Dame or somebody like that. It's going to be, you did so much for this city. You did so much for this franchise. I mean, the city of Milwaukee, if you think about the economics of a player like Giannis being in a small market like that and just local restaurants and bars and everywhere, how everything economically is better with a player like Giannis being on the Bucks. It's incredible when you really think about it. So the city and the team is going to honor Giannis Antetokounmpo with whatever he wants. and it's in their best interest to be able to rebuild for the future. To right now at 30 years old, try to get back as much as they can for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is what the 76ers should have done with Joel Embiid. But they hold on to players too long. Anyway, we already have Sixers fans talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. Let me tell you right now, stop it. I understand YouTubers and people writing articles. It's good clickbait. I get it. You tell Twitter AI to make a Giannis Antetokounmpo photo wearing a Sixers jersey. I get it. But you're not being serious. You're not being serious when you say the Milwaukee Bucks should trade Giannis Antetokounmpo for 34-year-old Paul George on a max contract. Plus what? The Clippers 2028 unprotected pick? That's pretty valuable, actually. The Sixers aren't even on the top 5 list of teams that can offer the most for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think the Celtics can probably offer more. If you want to split up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, maybe something like that. This Paul George has no value, and the Bucks aren't taking on a dead contract. It's a dead contract, and if you look at the other way, oh well, they should trade Joel Embiid. What? Joel Embiid has a 3-year extension that doesn't start until next offseason. And he played 20 games last season. No. Sixers fans, I'm sorry. I understand YouTubers and article writers want to use it as clickbait. I get that. I've done my fair share of clickbait. Don't you worry. I do it all the time. I'm going to do it again. I'm probably going to use this photo right here and put it on the thumbnail. To clickbait myself talking about clickbait. But realistically, it's absolutely not going to happen. The Sixers don't have enough to offer. It would be unbelievable if they did. I understand in a fantasy land, just thinking about Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain and maybe Cooper Flagg alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo, which made me just think of something. Do you, yes or no? Because the number 1 pick in this draft. Oh no. Oh no, am I about to say this? Oh no. What I just said in this video is not entirely true. And I didn't watch any of the YouTube videos or read any of the articles. But if they said this, they have a point. If the 76ers would get lucky and land the number 1 pick in this draft, would you attach it to a Paul George or a Joel Embiid to get Giannis right now? Oh, that's difficult, man. Do you give up a potential 15 years of Cooper Flagg to get Giannis Antetokounmpo on the team right now? And I don't know how the salaries would work out or anything like that. I'm just saying, if it was possible, would you do it? Me personally, I would not. Because I've watched the 76ers for 30 years. And I think the conclusion I've come to is I would like the most amount of high-level, entertaining basketball that I can get in this lifetime. And I personally would like to watch the next 15 years of Cooper Flagg in a 76ers jersey. If the Sixers get lucky and land number 1, I personally would like, even if they never win a championship. I think I like the process of a young team, young stars, developing every year and building into something, even though it hasn't actually happened here in Philadelphia since the 80s. Even then, they won because they got the ABA collapsed and they got Dr. J out of it for cash, basically, and then they made the Moses Malone trade. So it hasn't really ever happened in the franchise ever. Have they drafted and built a homegrown team? But I think I would say no. I think I would say no, and you can call me crazy for that if you want to. If you get Star, Murray, Nuggets are in an elite team, would the Bucks take Paul George? No, absolutely not. For the number one pick in the draft, though, if the Milwaukee Bucks want to rebuild right now, they do everything they can to get Cooper Flag. So if the Wizards get the pick, if the Hornets get the pick, this is going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting because not very often would you trade the number one pick in the draft. Not very often would you trade the number one pick. This is going to be something rare that I don't think is really ever seen. I would have to research how many times is a number one pick in the draft. Let's fucking Google it, dude. How many times has the number one pick in the NBA draft been traded? Number one pick in the NBA draft has been traded 17 times in NBA history. History of number one draft choices who are traded. But does that count? Like, there's teams that have traded down to 3 and stuff like that. But how many times has a number one pick, been traded for a player? It would take me time to research that, but it's got to be incredibly rare. But I think because it's hard to get teams to budge off of a number one draft pick, especially when it looks like a generational talent like Cooper Flag. But if it's 30-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo, a lot of teams might do it. Because your hope, right, drafting Cooper Flag is that he one day could be as good as Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you're fast forwarding. As a business owner, you're fast forwarding 5 years and putting your team into automatic playoff contention. It's interesting to think about. I guess I didn't really answer the question. I said no, but I understand why that might be crazy. Adam Silver will send him to LA with Luka. Wasting time with your imagination. Well, I'm not really wasting time. I'm creating content for YouTube that gets me views and makes me money. Hey, man. Once again, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. This is NBA. What did I call this, bro? I just called this something. Daily NBA talk with DJ Eastwood. I think even during the season, of course, nothing's going to change. I'm still going to do the Sixers content. I'm still going to do the 76ers post-game live. I'm still going to cover the 76ers all the time. But I've really enjoyed talking about the NBA as a whole during these playoffs every day at 12. And so I think this show will remain every day at 12. I will talk about kind of anything around the NBA that I'm interested in and that I think is entertaining, and which obviously, like Giannis to the Sixers type of talk, will still include 76ers talk. But I think I'm going to keep doing this, man. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not trading number 1 or even number 3 for Giannis. He's 30, doesn't have consistent jumper to age gracefully. We got a new arena coming in 4 to 5 years. Hard pass. Not even trading number 3 for Giannis? He doesn't. Well, you're not trading for Giannis for the future. You're not trading for Giannis for when he's 35. You're trading for Giannis to try to win right now. Everybody knows he doesn't have a consistent jumper to age gracefully. Nobody thinks Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be doing this when he's 37. You would be trading for a championship window in the next 3 years. I agree. I wouldn't trade Cooper Flag for him. I don't know if I would trade Dylan Harper for him. Dylan Harper, by the way, The more and more I watch Cade Cunningham, go back to Dylan Harper's tape on YouTube. A lot of Cade Cunningham and Dylan Harper. Pause. Number 3, though, I'm trading number 3 for Giannis. I think I'm doing that. But yeah, that's all I got, man. You're losing credibility believing that Giannis... I didn't fucking say that Giannis wants to go to Philly. I presented a hypothesis and gave my freaking opinion on it, bro. What is it that some of you people don't understand about podcasting and content? See, here's the thing. Driving and delivering. You seem to think that if you disagree with something I say, that I am losing credibility and my product is going to dwindle away. Do you understand how narcissistic it is to think that your single opinion in a sea of 500,000 views a month matters? Do you understand how narcissistic it is to think that your single opinion in a sea of 500,000 views a month matters? You think that you thinking I'm losing credibility means that I'm losing credibility? You know what I'm saying, bro? Come on, man. Here's how to operate in the world. I'm going to tell you before I get out of here. Driving and delivery. I'm going to tell you. Here's how to operate in the world. Okay? For the rest of your life when you go outside. You see things, all right, and you hear things, okay? You can agree, you can disagree. You can choose to engage in the conversation. You can choose to not listen to it and walk away. There you go. There you go, bro. I just taught you how to do life. You're welcome. You're losing credibility, says driving and delivering in the YouTube chat. Holy shit. Thank you for that, man. That was very entertaining. I love you guys.